Good morning, podcasters. Today is Thursday, June 18th, 2026, and today, private podcasting as a product, teaching tool, and community builder. Sid Meadows shares lessons from launching core foundations and how you can apply the same ideas to your audience. So if you're listening live on Clubhouse, hit the share button, top right-hand side of the screen, and share it however Clubhouse lets you. And if you're catching us via podcast, LinkedIn, etc., please share this episode with a fellow podcaster. And now give us about 30 seconds, and we'll get things rolling. Thanks for being here. The Podcasting Morning Chat is powered by Ironic Media, helping podcasters launch, polish, and grow great shows. And by Content Creators Accountant, helping creators build real business behind their content. Good morning again, Podcasting Morning Show. Thank you so much for being here. I am your host, Mark Ronick. Currently on stage with me, my co-hosts, DR Fay, Alex Baelish, Ralph Estep, Sid Meadows, and BC Babbles. And we are not streaming to YouTube today. So if you are here on Clubhouse looking for us over on YouTube, you're not going to find us. I'm having some issues keeping Riverside and YouTube connected, and I thought I had it resolved before today, but I don't. So my apologies, and we'll have the video posted shortly after we finish here. So today we're doing something, I wouldn't say completely different, but it is going to be out of the ordinary, I suppose. We've got Sid Meadows as our guest today, and he's launching something called Core Foundations, as I mentioned at the top of the show. And the idea here, well, what we want to do is learn about private podcasting. And since Sid is launching his private podcast, we thought he'd be a perfect quote unquote guest for today. So most of us think that that podcasting is something public, something that we publish to Apple and Spotify and YouTube and wherever else. But private podcasting opens up a different kind of opportunity. It can be used for education, for onboarding, training, and paid content, community, and potentially, I guess, deeper relationship building with a very specific audience. And we know, most of us here who knows Sid knows that he's already hosting his public podcast, The Trend Report, and now, like I said, he's launching this thing called Core Foundations. It's what I understand based on Sid and my discussions, and we'll get into it from him in a moment. But my understanding is it's a private podcast-based training program for new and early professionals in the contract interior industry. So today we're going to use what Sid is building to better understand private podcasting as both a format and a business tool. So let me officially say hello to our quote-unquote guest today, Sid Meadows.
Good morning. It's great to be here with all of you, and I guess I'm glad to be in the hot seat today.
Yes, and I thank you for volunteering. I was telling the crew yesterday afternoon, I was racking my brain preparing for today's show, and I think it was you, DR, who said, what about Sid? Or we were actually talking about his ways that he's monetized his public podcast. But that opened the door to Sid saying, hey, my private podcast is launching soon. If you want to talk about that, I'd be happy to. So here we are. And Sid, for new listeners who may not know you, could you just share quickly who you are, who you serve, and what the Trend Report is really about?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you, Mark. So my name's Sid Meadows, and I started my own business in 2017. And I've spent my entire career working in the office furniture industry, what I typically will call contract interiors. Started right out of college. And when I decided to start my business, I wanted to do coaching, consulting, and training in that space. It's where my network is. It's where people I know. And so that's what I did. And in 2020, I started the Trend Report podcast. And it's basically your inside look at the people, products, and ideas shaping the future of workplace design. And my audience are people that manufacture, distribute, and sell office furniture, or they're in that space in some way, whether they're an interior designer. But predominantly my audience is people who actually either manufacture or sell actually office furniture. And so we've been doing that since 2020. On Monday, we will launch episode 191. So getting close to a really big milestone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm really proud of what my podcast has become and what it's brought to me personally and professionally, the joy that it brings me and the satisfaction that it brings me, but also the impact and the knowledge and the thought that it is providing to my audience. So
cool.
That's who I am.
Awesome. And I've probably mentioned already Core Foundations 14 times since we launched. So what is it and who is it for? And we'll get into the nitty gritty. So just give me the broad overview.
So it is a private podcast that is a onboarding solution for new and young people in the industry to educate them about the industry. So it's 14 episodes. Each episode is between 10 and 12 minutes long. And basically, it's an educational program on the industry. There are lots of reasons that I'm solving a problem, and we can talk about the problem. Mm-hmm. But basically, that's what it is. It stands for Contract Interiors Orientation and Readiness for Excellence.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So now we've got a brief idea of that. And Ralph, I think you had a question for Sid.
I do. So when you say private podcast, Sid, what does that mean in your world? Because honestly, before Mark had mentioned this topic yesterday, I'd heard this bantered around a little bit, but I really wasn't sure how that was going to apply to you.
So it's a paid platform where you pay to download the episodes. The cost is $695 to enroll as a student in Core Foundations. And so it's basically a paid training course. And I decided to do it as a private podcast. So you can't access it publicly at all unless you buy it. And when you buy it, there's a system and a process where Hello Audio, who's the platform that I'm using, can you buy it through Kajabi, and then, which is my website platform. And then Hello Audio triggers an email to you to tell you, gives you a link to download it and actually a link to paste it into Apple Podcast. And then you have access to it. You follow it and you have access to it.
So you're using Kajabi as your platform then. So we get into the weeds a little bit. That's what you're using to monetize this as a private podcast.
Correct. So Kajabi is my website platform. I started using it in 2018. And there are lots of other options out there that are probably more affordable, but I'm all in on Kajabi. And so, yes, you go to corefoundations.co. That's a Kajabi site. Down at the bottom, there's a place for you to buy it. And you click the buy and it puts you through the process. And then part of that process is Hello Audio using Zap. I didn't know how to use Zap. And so I figured that out. That was crazy. Mm-hmm. And so Hello Audio sends you an email, and the email gives you the instructions of how to actually access the podcast, the private podcast.
So Sid, what does this private format allow you to do that the public podcast doesn't? Because I know you got a public podcast with the trend report. Mm-hmm. What does this allow you to do?
Well, first and foremost, it's revenue. It creates revenue into my business. And, I'm going to back up a minute, Ralph. Not years ago, last year, as I'm evaluating my business and I'm evaluating what I want to do in 2026 and beyond, and what I'm lovingly referring to is my 60s, what I want my 60s to look like, because I want them to be different than my 50s. And one of the things I wanted to do was to do things that bring me more joy, do things that make me happier, right? And in order to do that, I have to say yes to some things and no to other things. So I've said no to consulting and I've said yes to podcasting. And if I'm going to lean in to being a bigger content creator or a bigger podcaster, meaning offering more, doing more, it's really important that my podcast become a solid revenue stream inside of my business. And before it really wasn't, and though it didn't, early on I had a sponsor, but I needed to ensure if I'm going to say no to a revenue stream, I have to say yes to a new revenue stream. And so podcasting brings me a lot of joy. I want to lean into doing it more. And so I monetized the trend report. And then I started looking around at other ways I could use podcasting. On the Podcasting Morning Show several months ago, we talked about private podcast. So we had a guest come on, I believe. And I had this idea had been noodling for a while in my head. And then I just decided to investigate and take action on it. But the biggest thing that a private podcast does is allow me to monetize, to charge for the education that I'm giving. Let me tell you why. So the listener that I'm targeting, the person that I'm targeting is going to be average 22 to 27 years old. Okay. Young. So the problem that I'm solving is our industry as a whole has an age problem, and meaning the majority of the people that are in our industry look like me. They're old gray-haired white men. And that's unfortunate, but it's very true, right? And when you look around our industry, there are not a lot of new and a lot of young people that are in our industry. Part of the problem that exists with that is we are not a known entity. We have to work really hard to attract people into our industry. We're not talked about on college career day. We need to be, but we're not. What we do is pretty amazing, and the end result is providing an amazing workplace for people to work in on a daily basis, right? But we have an attraction and retention problem, and brands and organizations do a great job at training on their people, their products, their processes, and their programs. Whether I go to work for a manufacturer or a dealer or an independent rep, they're going to train me on all things them, which is great. What they forget is to train on the industry. And learning the industry is what's so hard because the industry is extremely complex. There are multiple layers inside of our industry. There are multiple players. There's terminology that's not used in other places. And so most people are left on their own to go find out about the industry. And you can, Google a little bit. There's some books out there that talk around our industry, but this talks directly to our industry. So if you're brand new and you don't know what laminate or veneer is, this program is going to explain it to you. If you don't know what some of our acronyms are, this program is going to explain it to you. If you don't know what an interior designer does, this program is going to explain it to you. So I'm solving that problem. So I identified a problem, and I've known this for a long time. I identified the problem, and now I'm providing a solution. The reason that it is an audio first is I want to meet them where they are. I want to be able to give them the opportunity to listen to me, educate them on their commute to work. If they're cutting their grass, if they're on their morning walk, I want them to have the ability to consume content easily and not be forced to log into a library, figure out which video they left off on last, and then sit down and watch a video. I'm trying to make it easy for them to consume. So they do consume all 14 episodes because at the end, we do offer a certification that says your course foundation certified. It presents a little certificate to you. And then we are in the process of creating a little sticker that, if you will, that you can actually add to your LinkedIn profile to say that you've been core foundations.
I love that last point that you made. It's just as far as really wanting to make it easier. And I think that even as public podcasters, sometimes we forget that with all the noise about the video hype and how, everybody wants us to now put our content out as video too. But I think sometimes we have to think about, is that really convenient for our audience? And sometimes it isn't. And I think especially in private podcasting and what you're doing, it sounds like that's appropriate. But something you mentioned when you first shared your answer, you mentioned that this is paid content. And I know you're relatively new to private podcasting, but I also know you, and I know you do a lot of investigative work before you jump into something. So is private podcasting always paid, or could it be used in other ways?
You could use private podcasting however you want to. You could use it for bonus episodes. You could use it to do coaching. Like you could actually talk about something, and it does not have to be paid, right? There just has to be some type of transaction happen that triggers Hello Audio to send you the link, if you will, to get the feed. But it does not have to be paid. There are a lot of different ways that you can use it. For me, it's about money. It's about revenue stream, right? And so I wanted to figure out how I create another revenue stream. But yeah, you can use it however you want. It does not have to be paid.
Okay, fair enough. Ralph, I think you had a question.
Yeah, Sid, I just want to push a little bit on the video decision because I personally feel like that's a strategic mistake. And the reason I say that is in the type of work you're doing, doesn't it leave a lot of things that you can't show? Like to me, that would seem like you're talking about laminates and veneers. You're talking about things that are very visual. I understand what you're saying with the audio, but do you feel like strategically, do you at some point pivot to video in this?
So it's a great point, Ralph. Remembering that it's private, not public. If I were doing a public something, probably putting videos on YouTube would be a really good idea. But the statistics prove that the completion rate, and DR probably knows this, the statistics prove that the completion rate of courses is less than 8%. You buy a course, less than 8% of the people actually complete the course. And courses are historically video courses. You log into your library, you buy a course, you log in and you watch the course at your convenience and at your leisure. There's typically workbooks and all that stuff there. But there's only 8% of the people that buy it actually complete it. I want my completion rate to be 100%. So I'm looking at how do I meet them where they are. Now, I have a video recorded for every episode. I can put them in a Kajabi library. I can do all of that. Maybe I do that as a bonus add to a little bit later. But right now, I'm going to stay focused on testing this as a private podcast. But I'm also not talking about products, right? I'm not showing anything pretty. I'm not showing, what workplaces look like. I'm talking enough about them that you understand what I'm talking about. I spent a lot of time in developing the scripts on this to ensure that the scripts were good enough that people didn't need a visual. Because again, I want people to complete, and I didn't want to create a traditional course. I want to take advantage of what I see as something new and podcasting. Everybody has an app on their phone, whether it's Spotify or Apple. This is available on both. So you can get it on Podchaser and a few other apps too. So I wanted to stay focused on this experience and let's see how it works. And then I'll evaluate it, get feedback, and then we'll pivot if necessary and maybe just add the video because I have all the videos.
Makes sense. And I want to encourage anybody who has questions wherever you're listening or watching, please feel free to ask. And I would say just put a 1 in the chat if you are on Clubhouse specifically and you're on stage and want to ask Sid a question. I see Billy Thorpe is on stage now.
Oh, here we go. Here we go, everyone. Hold on.
And just so our newer listeners know why we're saying here we go is because Billy and Sid have a wonderful relationship with that. It also includes a lot of jabs at one another. It's lovingly jabs, I would say. So, Billy, good morning to you. Did you want to ask a question or add anything so far to the conversation?
I'll be nice, Sid. I'm not here to bash you. I don't care what these people say. Well, my question for you so I used to do a private, I'm getting an echo, Mark, sorry. Okay, there it goes. So I used to do a private podcast with my fishing show, which was a great way to deliver membership, audio only. Of course, we did video on Vimeo as well. But for your audience, you said these people are kind of new to the industry. So how are you convincing are they already in the industry? Are they getting their employer to pay for this access? Like, how are you converting 22-year-old out of college with no money and looking to live the American dream? How are you convincing them to buy in?
Oh, this is a great question. And cowboy up, Billy. I'm enjoying the horse content, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Billy and his family have a new horse.
Hey, no, the horse got brand deals, baby. That's all I got to say.
So it's a really great question, Billy. And my target is not the new person coming into the industry. That's not my target. My target is their boss. My target is the owner of the business. Whether if you're an office furniture dealership, my target is the VP of sales or the CEO of the business to talk because they understand this is a problem. And when they hear me talk about it, they're like, oh, yeah, this really is a problem. And I have a solution. So I'm talking about the problem and I have a solution to it. In larger organizations, my target's going to be HR and talking to HR about this. Another strategy that I'm employing is I'm obviously going to network with my friends and I'm creating an affiliate link for my friends to go out and actually talk about it to their network and to their groups. And so they'll get an affiliate fee. I haven't worked all those details out yet. And then I have had a couple of conversations. There are specific industry recruiters. I have a list of them. There's probably 10 of them. And every time somebody pings me or I see a post that they've lost their job or they're moving on from that and they're looking for a job and they're in our industry, whether I'm connected to them or not, the first thing I do is send them a list of industry recruiters because I have it on my desktop and I'm just saying, hey, sorry about your current situation. Here's a list of industry recruiters with all their contact information. I would encourage you to reach out to each one of them. And typically people love it. They thank me for it. The recruiters typically call me and thank me for referring the candidates over to them. So I have a relationship with all the industry recruiters and I've talked to a couple of them about they understand the problem too, right? Because they're having a really hard time getting businesses to place new people because of the learning curve. And so this helps to solve the learning curve. And I'm asking them if they will offer it, and they buy it from me at a discount, then they offer it in their package to the business as part of their service, their value adds to that business. So there'll be a shareable one so if the recruiter buys it from me, they go in and buy it, and then they can share it to a person and gift it, if you will, to a person. So I'm going to be leveraging multiple different avenues, Billy, in order to drive revenue. I'm going to be talking directly to the leaders that I know and then the leaders that I don't know. I'm going to be working with recruiters, and then I'm going to be working with affiliates and tapping into their network, because anybody that is in any senior level position in our industry understands this is a problem. I'm not creating a problem, right? The problem exists. I'm just highlighting it, and I'm offering a solution rather than just talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Billy, if you have any follow-ups, let me know. You're welcome to come off mic. But if not, then I'm going to go to DR, who has a question. Go ahead, DR.
I'm sorry. So what I was going to ask, I think you answered the question. I was going to ask, how do you get the word out to these people who are your targets? But I think you answered it when you said that you have a list of recruiters. So yeah,
that's one way, DR. But I'm also going to leverage my network. So this is a standalone website. You do see me on there, but it is not connected to sidmeadows.com. It is a standalone site. And I'm doing that on purpose. It is a sales website, right? My website is not a sales website. My website is an informational website. This website is about driving sales. So I wanted it to be separate. So it's heavy SEO into certain keywords. We have a whole blog strategy and multiple blogs written that will go out. Again, very heavy keyword focus, so that if you type in, not today, but if you type in office furniture training, we will eventually come up into that search, right? And we're doing that intentionally. But I'm also going to leverage my network. So, I've got 500 people on my email list. They're not my target, right? But they're very engaged. Anytime I send an email, I get about an average of a 50% open rate and a 7 to 9% click rate. So I'm going to inform them. Basically, the title of the email go out next week. That'll say, I've built something new, and I'm going to tell them about it. And I'm going to ask them to share this with anybody that they know that could use this type of content. I'm not asking them to go over and enroll. I'm not asking them to buy. I'm not asking them to go subscribe to it. I'm just asking them to share it. And based on the engagement of my community, I can tell you it will get shared. So I'm excited about that. And I'm always going to be looking for ways to technically touch different things and different people. I'm considering, it's expensive, but I'm considering advertising in industry magazines that will target my ideal customer. So there's several out there, and I'm looking at, I've got their media kits, and I'm breathing deep at the cost of the third page ad. But I know they have the audience, so I'm looking at working that into the budget and those kinds of things. So there are multiple ways that I can go about this. I write for an industry magazine, and I can actually weave it into a couple of articles that I'm writing as well. I can't technically promote it, but I can talk about the problem, and then I can refer you over to the website to look at it. So, and we created a couple of lead magnets too, and email sequences. We've done the whole 9 yards. I can talk about that stuff as well.
Yeah. And I'm curious about that too. So what I want to do is first say, hang tight to the audience, because I'm going to take us in a minute to really take what Sid has shared so far and tie it back to you and your podcast. So stick with me for a moment. First, I want to go to Alex Bailish, who has a question for Sid. Go ahead, Alex.
I know you're just launching it and everything. Is there a way that you specialize it for groups, or are you planning on doing any updates if the industry does change in certain ways? Because things do change and you have this private platform. Is that something that you looked at? And if you did, what's that plan look like?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Alex. And yes, it's think about content that you create on a regular basis. It always needs to be current, right? So what I'm going to call them bonus episodes. We will add bonus episodes. So if there's something that emerges that I think is relevant, then I'll create a bonus episode and we will publish it, and it'll say bonus. There's still the 14 required ones, and then we'll add bonus ones in there to address the current. If something that I've created in one of the episodes, let's say the information is way outdated because of a change in our industry, then I'll go update that script and then I'll just re-record it and I'll replace the audio. So Hello Audio is super easy to use. So I'll just replace the audio and update it. And then I can send a ping message to all the subscribers that says, hey, we've updated based on recent changes in the industry. We've updated episode 11. Here's the links, or please go into the player and listen to the new updated version of 11, right? Another thing that we're doing also as a bonus is I'm tapping my friends. And this was not my idea, by the way. This was one of my friends' idea, to tap my friends that have areas of expertise that I do not. And I'm asking them to create a 10-minute episode about their topic. So I have a list of, I have a friend that her focus is the office furniture dealer, interior designer. That's her community. And I'm going to ask her to create an episode about what's the job of the office furniture interior designer. I have a friend that's a tech person. I'm going to ask her to create one about tech. Then I have the tech that you should be focused on using. I have a friend that is specialized in government sales and state and local sales. I'm going to ask her. I touched on it in one of the episodes as a vertical market, but I'm going to ask her to do a deep dive in it. And I'm working on a strategy where I actually pay them, not a lot, but I pay them to create the content because I'm being paid for the content. I don't feel right. It doesn't feel congruent to me to ask them to do something for free when I'm being paid based on what they're producing. So I'm going to pay them a small fee. The couple that I've mentioned to have told me, no, they're not going to accept my money, but that's okay. We're not done with that conversation yet. But I'm trying to stay congruent to my values, and I don't feel right asking somebody to create something for free when I'm selling it. So we will use that. And then there will I can do a bonus episode about a big acquisition and share my thoughts about an acquisition. The other thing that I can do is curate a playlist from my podcast, and I could add it to the feed that, hey, this is an important conversation. You should listen to this. Or I can just direct them. I can go into the library and add it as a resource in their library, and I could just direct them there because I don't want to take away from downloads on the actual podcast. But I want to, hey, I'm going to use this group to drive listeners and followers on my podcast. So it's a little web of an ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be trying to leverage it all. Obviously, I'm going to miss something along the way, but that's okay.
It's a one-time fee. It's not a membership, correct?
Oh, that's a really great question because I forgot to say something. So it is a one-time fee of $695. And when you purchase it, you are granted 2 months, which is twice a month, of office hours with me. That's a $97 a month value. You get to come in for free for 2 months. After your 2 months are over, you will be pinged to purchase office hours at $97 a month. Cancel anytime that you want to. And I will go live on Zoom twice a month, I think on Wednesday afternoons, to literally answer any question they have about the industry. I'm not going to answer questions about sales strategy or, which product should you use on it. That's not my job. That's not my role. I could do that. That's not my role here. So, but I'll encourage them to go talk to their leader or to their mentor to understand that. So basically, you're getting coaching with Sid twice a month for $97. Cancel anytime you want to. So you get it for free first. And you're granted that. And then after that expires, because it's got a 60-day expire on it. So once it expires, you no longer have access to it. Then you'll be pinged to actually buy it for $97 a month. So there is a way, Alex, to create recurring revenue with this.
Junaid has a question for you. And thanks for those questions, by the way, Alex. Both really great questions. And Junaid's question in the chat here is, what if content changed and somebody already got the certificate?
I mean, you don't ever lose access to the audio. I've set the audio file up or the podcast up that you never lose access to it. I could expire it after, 14 weeks because that's the plan. Because the plan is when you buy it, you have 4 episodes already there for you to listen to. And then every 7 days, another episode drops and you get pinged that there's a new episode, and that should last for an additional 10 weeks. So, you've got about 14 weeks is to complete the thing. And I could make it go away after that. I've chosen to leave it there. But if they've done the work and they've completed it and something new happens in the industry, I'm going to share the content with them but there's no reason that I should take away the certification or no reason I should add another certification. They've earned it. Every business changes, every industry changes, every industry evolves. And so I can't say, oh, your certification is not valid now because something in the industry changed when they did the work. So I'm going to leave it in place, and then I'll just share the additional content as necessary or as appropriate.
Thank you, Junaid, for the question. And also, side note, looking forward to seeing you, Junaid, in about an hour and a half for our breakfast meeting in person, which I'm really excited about. All right. So, Sid, we have a lot more questions, but I want to pause because for someone listening who isn't in your industry specifically, what's the lesson here so far? How should they think about turning their own knowledge into a private podcast experience?
So that's exactly what I did, Mark. I turned my knowledge into a private podcast because I offered this exact course. It was called Contract Interiors and Introduction. And then the next level, it was a 12-week group training session via Zoom. I had about 100 people go through it. It was $1,500 when I did it. And it was in the second year of my business. And I realized after, I don't know how many sessions, this was not scalable. And I'm not scalable. And I can't keep doing all these live. And so I just kind of put it on the shelf and let it sit there until I could figure out how to scale it. So this creates scalability for me, right? Easy scalability. And like all the costs are up front. There's no maintaining cost. I mean, I have the recurring fee from Hello Audio, but I mean, they're really small recurring costs. So the heavy lifting financially is up front. But what I would say to you is when you're thinking about your content, look at the problems that exist in your industry and solve a problem. Don't just create content for the sake of creating content and trying to monetize it. So whatever industry that you're in, look at how you can solve a problem and improve someone's life, improve someone's business, improve someone's role or their career. Look at that. So find the problem and then find the solution to the problem. If you've been in an industry as long as I have, you should know. If you don't know, ask your audience what their problems are.
And
Uncover
Sid,
the things they're struggling with. Yeah.
Sid, I wanted to follow up on that because something you said a few minutes ago struck with me. And I feel in your voice a passion, not so much for making money, but a passion for the industry that you're in. And I feel like that is a core component of what you're doing here. And I feel like the outcome is more important to you than the content. Is that a true statement? Do you want to talk about that, Sid?
So that, Ralph, you're giving me chills, man, really, because that is like a true statement. I fell into this industry by accident. Some of you may have heard my story, but when I was in college, I was working at a school supply company and I was helping with furniture. I didn't know anything about furniture. I was keeping a library is what I was doing. And when I graduated from college, for all the wrong reasons, which ended up being the right reasons, for all the wrong reasons, I wanted to move to Birmingham, Alabama. So they had a store in Birmingham. And I went to Birmingham. I sold office supplies and I started selling furniture. About a year later, a friend of mine who had worked there left and called me and said, "Hey, there's a job opening over here. You should apply." And I did. And then I jumped into really selling office furniture. And I got bit by this bug that has been with me for over 30 years. I love what we do. I love the industry. I love being able to step away, though I don't sell products anymore. I love being able to step away and look at a space and go, wow, we did that. I love the impact that our industry has on the success of companies, on the success of people and how we help people by doing what we do. And I've tried to venture out, and every time I venture out, I come right back because to my core, I love this industry, and my legacy in this industry hopefully will be having a positive impact on the success of businesses and people. And however I can use my voice for good, however I can use my platform to move our industry forward, I want to do that. And when I have people walk up to me, like I got this email from this lady the other day, last Saturday. I just literally was like, I almost sat down and just like cried about it because she sent me this message that said, "Sid, I've been listening to your content for a long time. After one of your episodes, I called your guest and had a long conversation with your guest. And I just wanted you to know that you gave me the confidence and the courage to start my own business. And I am debuting at NeoCon this week. And I just wanted to say thank you."
Wow.
That's the impact you can't measure, right? That's the legacy that you can't measure because you don't always know about it. I had another leader walk up to me and say, we got in a meeting in our business after I heard you say something on your podcast. I pulled my team together. We didn't do what you recommended, but we did make a change and it's working fabulously. My job as an industry thought leader, as an industry content creator, is to create conversation, to spark conversation. I've got lots of answers to questions, but I don't want you to necessarily listen to my answer. I want you to think about it, and I want you to go back in your business, and I want you to figure out what's best for you, right? And so, yes, I love the industry. I love the people. I never want to leave this, and hopefully I'll have, at least 10 more years of a very successful career here, because at its core, everything I'm doing is to help move our industry forward. Did I answer your question, Ralph?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the key to this is when there's a passion, there's a pain point, there's something of value. It's not about selling anymore at that point, Sid, is it?
No.
It's about something that you want to see transform it. And it's your world. And I really respect that, dude. I think that's an amazing take on what you're doing.
Yeah. And I also think it's important to pause here and recognize, to your point, Ralph, and what you're highlighting here and what Sid has just shared, I think this is the difference between hard work and the grind, right? Because I think when we are grinding, I think that's when we are doing something that maybe we aren't as passionate about as, say, what Sid is with what his industry and his projects that he's building around his industry, right? To him, yeah, I'm sure, Sid, that what you've built so far with this private podcast has been hard work, but I am willing to bet that you don't consider it a grind, right? That you probably are enjoying this hard work. And I think this is important for us as content creators to really pay attention to, because I think, and I'm in this in certain areas of my business where it feels like a grind. And I sometimes, quite frankly, I ignore it, right? Because I just either have gotten used to grinding, or I have the wrong programming running in my brain saying, well, I have to grind to become successful. But the truth is like, look at what Sid is building. Again, we've shared this before with a quote unquote small or smaller audience, and he's still finding a lot of success from this.
So Mark, I appreciate what you're saying, because the way I framed it last year as I was coming into this year was, do what brings me joy. If it's a grind, if it feels heavy, that's not bringing you joy. That's not bringing you happiness. And you know what? I've done a lot of that nonsense, and I've felt the stress. I felt the stress in my body and the anxiety around it. I don't want that anymore. And so I'm going to do what brings me joy, and I'm going to continue to figure out how to monetize to a way that makes me feel really good about my business from a financial perspective, right? But you got to lean into what brings you joy. And so that's, like, for me, the biggest thing that I'm doing. And that's why I quit consulting. I hated consulting. Now, don't get me wrong. It generated a blank ton of revenue, but I hated it. We never seemed to be able to do it on budget, on time, and under budget. And that just drove me crazy. And then I do not like sitting in front of my computer creating a PowerPoint with all these analytics from a spreadsheet explaining to some leader what all this means.
Amen.
We got great results, but I don't like that. What I like doing is leading groups, educating people, and creating conversations. And so that's what I'm going to be doing, man. You got to have joy in your life.
Well, I don't know. I don't know about the audience, but I'm feeling very inspired by you right now, Sid. So thank you for sharing all of this. And DR has a question for you,
yes,
too.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I want to ask a question for those that want to follow in your footsteps in regards to making a private podcast. I want you to talk a little bit about the challenges that you overcame in this whole private podcast genre.
So the easy part was creating the content, right? The easy part was writing the scripts, reviewing the scripts. I mean, thanks to AI, it makes it a lot easier. Recording, it was super easy. Like, that's the easy part, actually doing that stuff. The hard part was all the technology stuff, like figuring all the technology stuff out, like buying the URL, finding the URL, right? And I hired someone. Listen, I am not creative. Okay. I try to be creative, but I'm not. And I hired someone to do the website for me. And he's been great, but he's also been a little bit of a pain in my ass. And it should have been done by now. And like his deadline is Friday. I mean, it's almost done. I sent him a couple of notes this morning, right? He's really good, but he also did it in code rather than in blocks. And so now I can't edit anything. So I'm like, oh my God, Sid. But that's okay. I have a deal with him to make all the updates and the edits, which is very affordable. It looks really good. He gave me 3 designs to choose from. And then the single most frustrating thing about this, honestly, was Hello Audio. It is a really great platform, but it has limitations. Do your research. So I want to just do everything in Kajabi. And Kajabi has a podcast product. Okay. Well, Kajabi's podcast product doesn't drip. It just publishes it when you publish it. I'm trying to simplify this and make this as automated as possible, right? So it kind of can live on its own, okay? Kajabi's courses drip. You can set a date to drip based on the date the person enrolls. Well, Kajabi's podcast, which can be private and paid, doesn't drip. I've been after them they're not listening to me, but I've been after, like, come on, guys, make it drip, okay? So that forces me to go to Hello Audio. Well, Hello Audio, when you enroll and you want one thing, and then you realize you need something else, guess what? You got to upgrade. So that's really frustrating with Hello Audio. They're still a young company. They're less than 5 years old, right? And they've got a lot of user experience stuff they need to work out. I'm sticking with it, but it has not been the easiest. And then there's no direct connection between Kajabi and Hello Audio. So I had to go to Zapier. Like I opened that thing. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like I've never used Zapier before, so I've never had to. And so then, but thankfully Zapier has Copilot built into it. You just tell it what you want it to do. And it did it. And the first time I did it, it worked. And then the second time, because I changed the website, because I had a Core Foundations page up on my regular website, right? And so then when I redid it again, I got an error message. And so like it wasn't working. So last night I enrolled in the program. I wanted to see if everything worked. Like I wanted to see all that. I enrolled in the email list and all that. And it didn't work. I'm like, oh my God. Then I realized the problem was inside of Hello Audio. So it's a long answer, DR, but the biggest challenge for me has been the tech and getting the tech to work because I want this to be easy. I don't want to have to go and push an email to, people that enroll. I don't want to have to do that because hopefully we're going to get hundreds of people enrolling in this, right? My goal is 10 people a month to enroll in the program. That's my goal. That's very attainable. But I hope to make partnerships with office furniture dealers and office furniture manufacturers that anytime they have somebody, and let's call it an enterprise relationship, anytime they have somebody new, this is an automatic. They give them a code, they go to the website and they get it and they enroll in the course, right? So I hope to be able to do that. But the tech has been the biggest pain in my, DR froze. I didn't hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So we're playing the Wheel of Jargon because there are two things that I think people need to understand. One was Zapier, and the other, I saw Yvonne put it in the chat, what is drip, right? So first, Zapier, I can share, it's basically automation software. It can automate things between different pieces of software. So if you wanted something automated, like say, what's a good example, Sid? Maybe you've got one, but it'll talk between different systems and automate between them. I think that's the best way to explain
it connects two different platforms that were not connected before and doesn't have a way of connecting. This is like the middleman. This is the bridge between two different platforms.
Yes. And then, Sid, do you want to explain what dripping is?
I mean, I'd never used Zapier before. So that was the learning curve.
It's hard. It's hard to learn, but I'm glad to hear they've integrated AI into it. I think that makes it easier.
I just told it what I wanted and it popped up this screen with all these little action steps. I'm like, oh gosh, I hope this is right.
Yeah.
But it did work. So drip, it's a really great question. So you can publish all of your content at one time. You can publish it when you want to. So you go kind of like your podcast and you go and you set a publish date that's going to publish on this date. A drip is the content is dripped out to the student in this case, okay, based on the date that they're enrolled, so that it gives them the content on a schedule. So if DR enrolls today, she's going to get 4 episodes, and then 7 days later, she's going to get episode number 5. And then 7 days after that, she's going to get episode number 6. Let's say Ralph joins in on Sunday. He's going to get 4 episodes, and then 7 days after his enrollment. So you're on your own schedule. It's dripping based on the date that you enroll rather than dripping based on an arbitrary date that I set. So DR joins, a month later, Ralph joins. Ralph's got all these back episodes to listen to because he's not caught up with DR. So it's dripping based on your enrollment date so that the student can go through their 60 days at their pace with me dripping an episode every 7 days. Because what I did not want to happen, I did not want binge consumption of the podcast because I want them to retain the information. It's only like 2.5 hours long, if that, right? So could you listen to all the 14 episodes at one time? Yes, you could. But I don't want that because I want them to consume and learn. I have did that answer the question? Devon, did that answer your question?
We'll have to, she's not on stage, but
okay.
Yeah, we'll find out if that answered.
So the other thing that I did with this to help, because I'm to Ralph's point earlier, I'm really passionate about this person learning our industry because I want them to fall in love with the industry the way I did. So I've created a sponsor guide. And so I will email their sponsor. I find out, I was trying to automate this, but I couldn't, at least not yet. But I'm going to ask who their sponsor is. I'm going to email them a sponsor guide. And this sponsor guide tells them what each episode is about. And then it gives them 3 to 5 questions for their sponsor, their leader, their boss, the owner, to ask in one-on-one environments about what they're learning along the way so that the sponsor can help continue their journey, their learning journey. This is really a partnership. This is not, set it and forget it, and they learn everything from Sid, because there's things they're going to want to know more about. And so I've created this guide, it's called a coaching guide, right? That the sponsor or the leader can use to have additional learning conversations with their employee.
Thank you, Sid. And I want to, since we're getting close to time here, I want to wrap up with a couple of questions. First, does someone need a full course or certification or a big offer to start experimenting with private podcasting, or can it be smaller?
You can do whatever you want to do. No, you don't need a big course. You don't need something major. If you've got ideas and you want to put it out in the world and you want to test it as a private podcast, I would encourage you to do it. Go figure it out. Go try it. I mean, I read that, like, let's say you have Mark, here's a great example. I'll just use words are hard in the morning. Don't play it, Ralph.
Yep, he has to play it. He has to play it.
Words are hard in the morning. Did I say that out loud?
Okay. So, Mark, I'll use you as an example. You could start a private podcast for your community. Let's just use the EPC3 community, people that sign up for EPC3. You could use it where you could put out additional content relative to the conference. Hey, I'm excited to announce this, and you can publish it however you want to and make it free, but it's in my ear. I can listen to it when I want to. You don't have to make it public. You can share insider secrets behind the scenes. I know a lot of people, I say a lot of people, I don't know a lot of people doing this, but what I've read is like people have group coaching. They're using it as bonus content or inspirational content to share with their community. Every one of you has an opportunity to create additional resources for your community that's going to help your community be better people, help them grow, help their businesses grow. You just have to figure out how you want to do it and what it is you want to do. And I think a private podcast is a really great solution for it.
So, Mark, how about a private podcast on how to create a conference?
I mean, that certainly has some value there for sure, especially if I feel like it would need to broaden to more than just the podcast industry if I were to do something like that, right? Because I don't feel like a lot of podcasters have this desire or itch to start a conference, right? But I'm sure some of them do. And I would imagine many others in other industries want to do something like that. So I could see something like that for sure. I was also thinking something maybe for other podcast producers, editors, etc., some kind of private podcast for them, since I know we have a lot of those types of community members here as well. So yeah, I'm certainly inspired for sure. Billy, I forgot about you and I knew you had a question. So I'm going to...
That's not a problem. You can forget about it.
So I want to make sure you get that in. Go ahead.
Sid forgets about me all the time. It's okay. Never called me back. Never texted me back. Well, I mean, I guess, so Sid, first of all, I love all the work that you've done to get to this point. But was there, based on average conversion rates of 1% to 3%, basically in any industry of like marketing, that's kind of like that's the magic numbers. Was there like any, like, hey, I'm going to look at my whole audience, my whole network before I put all this work into it? Or was this like oftentimes I get other Amazon influencers asking me the same million questions. So I'm like, okay, I need to build a product to answer these questions. And what I don't want to see happen is a bunch of podcasters go, oh, this is a nice quick cash grab, but their audience is so small that they can't convert. And now they have all this time, energy, and money out. And it's actually done the opposite of what they hoped it would do. So was that part of your process to go like, hey, I got this network of 30,000 people of 20 years in the industry. I feel confident that I can close 10 deals a month. Like, how would a regular podcaster go about this? What would be your suggestion?
So for me, Billy, I did not look at my podcast audience. I didn't. They're not the target. People that listen to my podcast are already in the industry. Most of them probably been in the industry 5 to 10 years at a minimum, right? They're not my target. My email list is not my target for an actual direct buyer. They're influencers. Maybe they're leaders, and the leader says, oh, I want to look at my new employees, or maybe the leader is encouraged to hire someone new because now they know that there is a program out there to actually train on the industry. But I didn't look at those things. What I looked at was my network. I looked at my network of the leaders in the industry that I'm connected to, knowing that I could talk to them, knowing that I could put things out there that would attract them, knowing that I could talk the language of the problem. And every leader that I've talked to is like, oh, wow, let me know when it's published. Like, when this is ready, send it to me. So I have a list. I have a small wait list. I have some beta testers right now going through it to give me feedback like, hey, Sid, you missed this topic. You should have included this topic. It's like about the content. And these are industry veterans that are going through it. I'll volunteer to go through it for me. And so my target is the leader. And I think I can reach the leader through my network, right? That's what I think, Billy. And so what I would say to anybody that is thinking about doing this, again, I'm going to go back to think about the problem that you're trying to solve, what the problem is in your industry, how are you going to solve that problem? And then if you're going to monetize it or not monetize it, again, a beautiful thing about this is you can do whatever you want to do with it. You can put it out first and test it and get feedback and then decide to charge it. And there's so many options here. I mean, Billy, I think for you, for Amazon influencers, you could call it your Amazon FAQs. To start, you don't have to be long, hour-long episodes. They can be quick little hit 5-10 minutes and, charge whatever you want to charge as a recurring monthly. You can set it up as recurring monthly if you want to, and just start providing the value in, you could do it in the audio version. You could do your video version if you wanted to, and make a course and all that kind of nonsense. But
yeah, I mean, we did this in the fishing space, and that's what we did. We charged $10 a month and got like 300 people to sign up. But we also had an audience of about 20,000 or so people that were listening to our show, that we built the show for like a couple of years. So that's the only reason we launched it, because I'm like, well, at this conversion rate, I think we can get enough people for this to financially make sense. So that was kind of my question. But yeah, I love it. Thanks, Sid.
I mean, I'll report back as we start launching. I mean, I haven't emailed anybody about this, right? I'm waiting on the little tweaks to the website. His deadline is Friday. So let's call it the hard launch. I've done one-on-one conversations about it. I have my wait list of people that are ready for it. So I'll report back in 60 days or so with how we're doing with conversion, how many people have enrolled in the program, the feedback that I'm getting. But I think I need a minimum of 60 days in order to let it get some traction, let the emails get some traction. Because there's two lead magnets. Well, there's one lead magnet. You join the community, there's a welcome email sequence. I've never done this before, by the way. But I wrote the email sequence. So there's a 7 email sequence. None of them sell until the last one. It encourages you to buy. Then there's a download there's a lead magnet that's called your first 90 days onboarding plan. So I created a 90-day onboarding plan that anybody, hopefully leaders, download. They go into a 12 email sequence. The first 10 add value, or the first 9 add value. The last 3 sell with one of those cells with a link to schedule time on my calendar to talk to me about your onboarding process. So I created a whole 90-day onboarding map as the lead magnet. So we'll talk about that a lot to get people into that email sequence, then to buy.
Cool. Thank you for those questions, Billy, and thank you, Sid. And I think, Sid, real quick, if people are curious about private podcasting, if you've piqued their interest and maybe they have more questions, can they contact you, and what's the best way?
Yeah, you can contact me. Shoot me an email. Mark can drop my email into the show notes. Go to my website and fill out the contact Sid form, sidmeadows.com. But I would tell you, like, if you're interested in it, I'm happy to talk to anybody, right? But if you're really interested in it, do what I did. Go do your homework, go do your research. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't know everything about Hello Audio. So I went to YouTube. I did a little research on Hello Audio. Then I joined Hello Audio's Facebook group, which was free. And then that gave me access to the Hello Audio without being a member or a paid customer. That gave me access to Hello Audio's coaching program. And every month they go live coaching. You can submit questions and they will ask them. They come on Riverside and you can ask the questions. They'll answer it. Or if you're there, they'll bring you on live and you don't have to be a paid customer. The 2 founders do this. And so that's what I did. I started learning about it to ensure. In the meantime, I was comparing it to Kajabi, and that's where I figured out where the differences were and what I really wanted. So, go explore private podcasting. We did, I think, Mark, there are 2 episodes on this show about private podcasting. And I think one, we had the founder like a couple of years ago of Hello Audio on the show talking about it. It's probably evolved since then, but.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Sid, thank you again for stepping up last minute and doing this and providing all of this information. Really appreciate it. And of course, if you want to check it out, his website for the private podcast, we have that in the show notes. But if you're just curious, it's corefoundations.co. So go check that out if you want to get a little more inspiration, or if maybe you happen to be in Sid's space and want to be a part of that private podcast and program. So with that, a reminder to you that tomorrow we are off. Tomorrow is a national holiday, and it's actually falling in quite nicely with our new summer schedule. Again, new summer schedule, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays all summer long. So we're not going away completely. We're just shaving off a couple of days during the summer so I can have some time focusing on my business, focusing on the Empowered Podcasting Conference, etc. So bear with us and keep coming back every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at podcastingmorningshow.com/join us. So,
hey, Mark, can I interject something real quick?
You may.
Don't forget, Tuesday, we've got Rob Walsh joining the show. Rob is with Captivate. He's been in the industry for a long time, so make sure you tune in Tuesday. We're going to be talking to Rob Walsh.
That's right. Yes, thank you for that. So until then, make it a great weekend, everybody. Take care.